Hey folks, today I want to share a tool or a trick that I use when I'm DMing in order to make sure that everyone at the table is having a good time. And this is based roughly on the concept of spotlight time, which I think is a really important concept if you're running a game. And to explain it in kind of a simple way, imagine that your game was being done as a stage show. At any particular moment, would a character be in the spotlight doing something interesting or important? Or would they be off in the background, in the shadows? Typically, players want their characters to be doing those important or interesting things and can be unsatisfied if they don't get that spotlight time. So, this is a way to try to make sure that everybody gets some of those moments because when you're busy running the game, it can actually be quite hard to keep track of this. This is a way to make this a little easier, a way to help sort of manage that, and a way to guide you to make sure that everybody is getting those moments and to ensure that this happens at your table. So the tool I use, and the tool is really kind of the least important thing. I use Excel, but you can do this on a sheet of paper. You can do this with whatever. We're not going to be using any formulas here. We're just going to be using this to organize things. And so I start off with just identifying my characters. So I can have character here, and then the first one might be Bob the Fighter. And then after that, we might have Frank the Wizard and Sarah the Rogue, and so on and so on. Now, once I've got all my characters down, I'm going to take some time to think about, and I'm going to look at their sheets and try to sort of figure out things that might be awesome for this particular character. And I'm not just going to just guess on my own. I'll probably also ask the players, what kind of thing do you think that what kind of things do you think you'd enjoy seeing your character accomplish or do? And so from that, I can put down, for instance, Bob the Fighter might like combat. He might like feats of strength. So because Bob is a strong character, his player might want to see Bob lift heavy rocks or push enemies off a cliff or force a door, these kinds of things. But maybe Bob also took proficiency in the nature skill. And then I can put that down as well because that's something that, might come up and might be interesting. It's unusual for a fighter to have a nature skill. And so at that point, it's something that they might be interested in. There's all sorts of things that can go in this. And as the game goes on, I'm also going to be watching the players to see what kind of things they enjoy, because it might turn out that, as much as Frank, we can put down spell casting as a thing that, Frank enjoys being able to do, but it might also turn out that Frank really enjoys moments of, witty repartee. My typing is awful right now. I'm having to reach past my mic, which is making that a little more challenging. But, Frank might really like moments where his character is bantering with somebody else. And, maybe situations where he gets to show off a quick or a sharp wit. Sarah the Rogue, I might initially have sneaking down, but it might turn out that she likes, something else. So I'm going to keep track of this both for things that they, the player doesn't seem to be enjoying, as well as things that they might seem to be enjoying that I didn't expect. Now, I'm also just going to put a number or a series of numbers along the top here, and these are just for gaming sessions, right? So session 1, session 2, session 3, and so on and so on. Now, as we go, I'm going to be keeping track of this, and I'm probably not doing it during the game, although I might. You can. You can sort of reach out and write something down as it comes up. But I typically do this in the time right after the game. So just when the game is still fresh on your mind, but, not necessarily right during the game. So then I can go through and I can identify which things happened. And so for each thing that happens, I'm going to put an entry. And I'm going to put down something from 1 to 5. And 1 is sort of like, yes, this came up, but it really wasn't all that interesting. So, nature skill, the fighter identified correctly that the grass was grass. Um, Nobody's really writing home about that. It's just got to use the nature skill, but it wasn't sort of momentous. But I can put down, a 5 if it was something that, was huge. The king is dying, and Bob the fighter, with his nature skill, identifies that the plant that he's been given as a gift by, some rival kingdom, is actually spreading poisonous pollen through the room, and that's what's killing the king. That's a big momentous moment, right? Bob the fighter has just saved the kingdom with this knowledge. That's a 5. So this lets me sort of get a gradation on this. I also have a couple of, or another entry, and that is I might just write an X or a -1 or something like that. If something comes up and it looks like the player is unsatisfied with it, or if it comes up but it goes really badly. So let's say Frank the Wizard, repartee. Frank tries to engage in witty repartee. He bungles his charisma check. He gets humiliated by the sort of baronet, and it's an embarrassing moment. Or Bob tries the feats of strength. He's trying to lift the big heavy boulder out of the way so that the party can pass through something, and rolls straight ones. That's something else that I can keep track of, and I like to keep track of. Now, over the course of multiple sessions, you can start to see patterns here. And there's a few things you want to look for. First, if somebody is getting a lot of X's in something where they really like it, you might want to put in something to try to rehabilitate that. That can be a really frustrating moment if you have a character who's built around doing certain things and they just keep failing at it. So that's something to watch for. But the big thing to watch for is if you see somebody who never gets the momentous moments, if all of their sort of appearances are just ones and they never have the 4s or 5s, then that person is maybe not feeling as important to the plot. And worse, if they're just not landing on your sheet at all. If Sarah the Rogue goes for 3 sessions and has used none of the skills that, or the abilities on their sheet that seem to be important to their concept, you're neglecting that character. And now this isn't something that you're going to be able to really fix in the moment. The reason why we, make this sheet, and the reason why it works well when you do it kind of post-session, is that then you can start designing your next adventure, or the next scene. So Sarah the Rogue has been really missing out, in the last few sessions. So this session, I want to put in some locked doors. I want to put in some places where somebody can sneak around to gain advantage. I want to put in some more hiding spots, these kinds of things, and really give Sarah the Rogue a chance to get that spotlight time. I really want to make sure that I fix that. Because if you have somebody who's consistently coming to your table and is always in the background, they're probably not having the greatest time. But I also recommend talking to those people, because sometimes you'll find people who are shy and don't necessarily want to take the lead, or, and they just enjoy that. That's also a play style. It's not as common, but it is perfectly viable. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you find somebody who that's their preference, then okay. Be aware of that as well, because you don't necessarily want to make the opposite of mistake and push somebody beyond their sort of comfort limits. That said, I find that it's far more common that the opposite mistake happens, that people who really want to, to have those moments of glory for their character don't get them. And this is a way to avoid that. So I just thought I'd share this with you. It's something that I found really helped me out. This only also really works with longer campaigns. You need to have the session 1, session 2, session 3, and so forth. For a one-shot or something similar where it's going to be a much smaller thing, you may want to just plan for everybody to kind of have a moment as best you can. Although people typically aren't going to get as frustrated in a one shot as they can in a lengthy game where they start feeling that they are being denied or shut out. So people are much happier to sort of be in the background if it's temporary or, a short time than if it's something that continues. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. It's something that I do and I find very helpful. And so I thought I'd pass it along. Thank you guys for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to see more content, and hopefully see you next time.